guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's been about 6 months since I posted a video, and I thought I'd come back and update everyone with what's been happening in those 6 months. It's been a few different developments along the way. Some things I'm going to mention, other things I'm going to sort of keep under wraps for now for future plans and things like that, but we will see where things go. First thing I want to talk about is, of course, this car here, my Civic Type R. It's underwent a few developments since I last posted, and I'd like to highlight them. Yeah, the first one is the Bison parts indicators. They're like a smoked black, and they are like a strobing effect when you indicate. Obviously this works for right, left indicating, and of course your hazards. It's a really cool sort of little effect that you get with them, and if you're interested in getting some of these parts for your own Civic, then by all means they'll be in the description down below. The next thing I wanted to mention was I now run a cone filter. That's something that I was a little bit wary of at first. Obviously you have like the likes of a TTS induction or the HKS. These were two that I wanted to stay away from, so I decided to opt for the Ram Air. Now this wasn't actually initially a choice. My dad decided to pick this up off a fellow FN owner, and the job was already done. It essentially involves butchering a standard airbox to get all of this to work, and you'll see in the shots how that kind of was being put together. Fortunately the job wasn't too bad, so I decided to purchase it off my dad. He wasn't too happy with the sound that it was providing, whereas I liked it. I think being a youthful person such as myself, I quite liked the noise, so I decided to go with it. It's been on for a few months now, and it's pretty good. Yeah, I wouldn't say it provides much performance, if any, but it certainly makes the sound a bit better, and I'm pretty happy with that. The other thing that we've only just put in the other day actually is sort of this clock pod thing. It's sort of an electronic clock. It pretty much is an OBD reader and an information readout in one, and obviously you can install it into your car. I've got it down on a sticky pad, as you can see, and it's sort of routed the wires around the back of the dash. It's really cool. It's just a sticky pad down, it's got a nice hold, and you can select different features on it, different displays, things like that. It doesn't have tons of features or anything like that, but it does allow you to read and clear codes. To what extent, I'm not sure, but I do plan on doing a full sort of comprehensive review on that to give you guys a little idea, because obviously it could work in any car. There's been a few developments. I'm just starting to realise there's been quite a few. The next thing that was installed in the car a few months ago was the wheel spacers. We finally fitted the wheel spacers. I did mention that I wanted to get spacers, and we successfully got spacers. They are from Freaky Parts, a company called Freaky Parts, and they are 17mm in size. It wasn't really my choice. I wanted 20s realistically, but the sizes only seemed to be 17mm in terms of where I wanted them to be. So we fitted 17s. The spot on, as you can see from the shots, the profile of the car is a lot better. I'm really happy with the spacers, and so far my wheels have not came off, so we're laughing there. The next modification that we put on the car in the past few months has been a Sport-X midsection. These are pretty cheap on eBay. You can pick them up for about 90 quid roughly. I think I've got mine direct off Sport-X actually for about 92 quid. And essentially the midsection of mine was actually blown a little bit. It was starting to blow, and obviously that would have been an MOT fail, so we decided to replace it with the Sport-X one. Provides a little bit more of a raspy, bassy note. The rasp goes away when it warms up. In terms of bass though, it's definitely a lot more bassy than the standard ones. And finally, the final modification that we are going to talk about on this car so far is the Marlin ECU map. Now, this is something I really want to make a very in-depth video on, give people a good idea of whether they want one of these for their car or not. Obviously this is exclusive to the FN2. This is essentially something that really changes the car in terms of characteristics, as well as giving it extra features. Based upon the ECU tech remaps that you can get, and it's provided by a bloke called Paul West. He's essentially remapped multiple FN2 ECUs and is selling them, which is a really good idea. You just whip out your ECU, put the new one in, and jobs are good. Now, as the shots can show, it's just a sticker I'm showing you. There's not really much else to show at this moment in time, but I can show you that there is selectable maps, essentially using the controls of the steering wheel. So you're going to hold your cancel button, and then you can use your select and set buttons. So if you're going to up and speed and down speed as sort of arrow keys, so to speak, to be able to select your maps. You have 4 switchable maps, and the car just feels overall much smoother, much more responsive. The throttle response is way better with this remap on, and it gives you features such as rev matching once you're above 3000 RPM. It gives you flat foot shifting, so for those who maybe don't know, one or two might not, you have your foot flat to the floor on the accelerator, and then you just simply, while flat to the floor, dip the clutch, change gear, off the clutch, and you're away. So it saves having to let go off the throttle to change your gear. And now I'm not sure how this affects the car, and it's not something I've done a lot of, because I've heard that it can affect drive shafts, potentially snap a drive shaft, affects synchros, things like that. There's a few issues that I'm not too sure of when I do a bit more research on before I just decide to flat foot shift everywhere. The final thing that was really a big effect on the car was that the VTEC crossover has been reduced from 4,600 revs to 3,800 RPM. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, because if you're cruising around, in theory you shouldn't be entering VTEC, but I have found sometimes it does, and you've got to back off the throttle and go back on again. The claim is that it won't engage until you start to accelerate flat to the floor, and then VTEC will engage. Otherwise it'll just engage at 6,000 RPM. Now, not to confuse everyone, again, I'll be doing an in-depth video, but that's a bit of a strange one, which I'll be highlighting in when I do my full review on the actual map itself. But yeah, that pretty much covers everything that's happened with the car within the 6 months I haven't really been posting. And yeah, it's good to be able to let you guys know what the updates are. If anyone's been following me on social media, you'll notice that I recently posted that I had an engine management light issue. That's been resolved. It was actually to do with that remap that I've just mentioned, and there's some plugs around the back near the VTEC solenoid, and it looked like they just needed unplugging and plugging back in. It was the literal definition of turning off and on again. But yeah, I actually went back to the standard map in fear that I was going to break the car, and then we did that little trick, put the original Marlin remap back in again, and yeah, it's been quite a number of months now and no issues so far, so pretty happy with that. Okay, so enough of boring you with my car in the updates that have been happening with that. I want to get on to the future of this channel, and a video that's going to be upcoming fairly soon, weather provided. That's going to be really I feel a big thing for this channel. It's going to be sort of the next FN2 fixes sort of thing of the channel. It's a separate video. It's not going to be a series or anything like that, but essentially I mentioned it on a Facebook post. I also mentioned it on Instagram, both of which you should absolutely follow if you want a bit of insight into what's coming on the channel. This video is going to be an in-depth video and tutorial on how to remove, restore and refit the rear axle on an FN2. Now this, I'm not trying to make this a big deal, but there's no videos out there that have done this, like, ever. I've not really seen many, and any that are out there aren't as in-depth as I'm planning on doing. So this should be an interesting sort of niche for people to understand how to do the specific job. My dad has everything laid out, as you can see, and he's also planning on, while on with the job, fitting Powerflex bushes into the rear axle as well. So yeah, we're going to be putting polyurethane bushes in, which are going to really stiffen up the rear. Now, again, just a disclaimer, this is not on my car, this is on my dad's car. For those who don't know, he also has a Civic Type R FN2, so yeah, that was kind of the inspiration behind me purchasing mine. This is something I'd like to do on mine, but I think we'd run into a few more stumbling blocks. And on the subject of that, that's probably why not many videos have been produced, because while we've been fitting these little jobs that I've just mentioned on my own car, we've came across a lot of issues. It's a lot more rusty under there than we last expected, and the mileage on the car, it's just turned 90,000, and it shows, it definitely shows, which is unfortunate, but it's the nature of the beast, and as a daily car, what can you do? That's sort of it. I have a lot of plans for this car, which I don't want to mention too much on yet. Need to get through a few more things first. The world's a bit upside down at the moment, as well, as we all know, and yeah, we're just trying to get through it as we can. So I don't want to bore you guys too much, but yeah, the channel I feel needs to be a bit more professional now, and I'm trying to sort of show that. There will still, of course, be videos still vlog style, but I'd like to be a lot more professional with how I do my videos, and I think this is the start of many. So yeah, thank you for sticking around. We're nearly at 1,000 subscribers, and it'll be really cool if we reach that this year. So we will see. I think it's down to my consistency of videos, but we will see. But yeah, if you stuck this long, thank you very much for watching. Expect new content coming very soon, and I will see you guys in the next video.